Hey there, YouTube. It's Petey Two Finger, and I'm here to talk about jumping around inside a dumpster. That's what I like to do. That's where I spend my time.
We're in a dumpster right now.
I'm in a dumpster right now. This is a 10 millimeter LED. It's a big one. Now with LEDs, oftentimes they'll have one of the wires is longer than the other. That's the anode. There's the anode and the cathode. The anode is the positive. Okay, so this is a button battery. I recycle these whenever I find a device that I'm tearing down, because I like to take things apart, and I will keep the wire. I will keep the remove switches or LEDs or capacitors from the circuit board. I'll keep the battery. And one of the things these batteries are good for is testing out an LED. Now this battery is a little dim. I'm gonna unplug it. Now it's off. Now I'll plug it back in. Now it's on again. So this is one way, okay, I'm building a guitar pedal. And let's say I ordered the chassis or the metal box from a company that supplies it to me with the option of a powder coated finish. So let's say I got army green. So I grabbed my army green box, and then I got a whole tackle box thing that's full of different colors and sizes of LEDs. So I can go through that, pick out various colors, and I want to see this is a green box. It's military green. So what does an amber LED look like compared to my yellow LEDs? I have yellow ultra bright LED, which is clear, and when you apply power, it lets out a yellow light. Then I have yellow LEDs that have a yellow finish, like an opaque yellow. So at this point, and this is something I really enjoy, it's like a high point. There's different parts of the process of building a guitar pedal. Choosing the color of the LED is a high point. Choosing the knobs for the pedal, definite high point. Oftentimes, I'll order the knob special just for this pedal. Sometimes I've just got a whole collection of knobs in a case, and I'll go through and pick them out. That's how I do it. So I like to use these button batteries, but they're like with this one, it's like typically I recycle these. There'll be like 3 or 4 of them in my little junk area, and sometimes I got to throw 2 of them away because they're both dead. So the other day we were at the dollar store, and my wife ran in. We had already been in there, and we bought some stuff, and we forgot to get a hand spade, a little shovel, because we were going to try our hand at gardening, which is something we've never done. So we were like, we should have bought a spade. We got to dig 8 inches down to plant these bulbs. So I need a hand spade. So we pull up. It's raining. I pull up kind of underneath, like it's weird. It's like an overhang, and I'm like kind of on the sidewalk, like really a bad parking move. But this mini mall, there's nothing going on in there, and she's running in and running out. So I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna park like an a-hole. So I pull up, and I look to the left, and there is some large plastic drink cups sticking out, and I'm thinking, you know what? I need one of those. I could use it for this project. So I get out of the car. I go over there. They still had the ice in them. They were McDonald's cups. I had gloves. So I removed the straw. I removed the lid, dumped the ice out, knocked some of the water out, put the cup on, throw them in the trunk. And there also was a vape. There was a little turquoise. It was watermelon mint disposable vape. Now I know I used to smoke. I smoked 4 to 5 packs of Roll Your Owns a day, and I quit by using non-nicotine salt-based vape. Now there is a new type of vape which uses nicotine salt that is called a Juul pod. Those are more addictive than cigarettes. They're marketed to kids. They're evil. No one should ever vape unless you're a smoker and you're trying to get rid of the cigarettes. Then you should use vape as a smoking cessation tool and taper the amount of nicotine you're taking into the e-liquid, and eventually you'll be free from nicotine. That's how I did it. But I'm not a vape guy. I'm not into that culture, the people with the gauges and the giant beards, chunking clouds and all that. That's not what I did. People blowing vape clouds in Toys R Us thinking they're funny, that makes me see red. Okay? The other thing that makes me see red is people just blindly throwing a vape in the garbage because it contains a lithium ion power cell. For two reasons. Number one, that stuff is hell on the environment. Number two, how is it brought to us? Well, they typically go to where they can mine that stuff and they enslave the local population. They have armed guards. These people are working without break. They're paid for pennies on the day and they're working with their hands. And they enslave the old and the young. So it's a messed up deal. And for us as a nation to just be like, yo, dog, I'm going to blow my cloud and then throw this thing on the ground, because I see them on the ground. And believe me, I've brought home probably 4 disposable vapes, taken them apart with the pliers, and pulled the battery out of them because they have these excellent lithium ion rechargeable batteries. In this case, I got a 3.7 volt 650 milliamp hour. It's got a red band for the positive side, a black band for the positive side with little metal tabs. Now, how I recommend you go about this procedure if you need something like this for your project or for testing LEDs, like I said, this comes really in handy. This one has a 100 milliamp or a 100 ohm resistor installed on the positive line. But, I am really being a klutz with this. A 3.7 volt battery, you don't necessarily need a current limiting resistor, but it's good to have one. So, yeah, this is nice and bright, whereas my half-dead CR 2025, it will light it up, but just like barely. So that's the advantage. I mean, look at the amount of mass here versus this. And yes, on the positive line, I do have a resistor spliced in there, 100 ohm. But like I'm finished with the pedal. I ordered a chassis from Tata, powder coated, military green. So I go through my caddy that's full of different color, different size LEDs, and I'm thinking, green, maybe a yellow LED would look snazzy. So I've got amber, which is more of a rich orange color. I've got ultra bright yellow, which is a clear LED. When you apply power, it produces a yellow colored light out of it. Then I've got these regular LEDs that are opaque and they're yellow colored. When you look at it, when there's no power on, it's yellow. So the light that it's producing might not be yellow, but when it goes through the yellow, the plastic is yellow, you know. So I can use this. I can actually put the LED up in the hole of the pedal and light it up and see exactly how it's going to look. So that's why I like these, is because they're good for testing, determining polarity on an LED where the anode and the cathode are the same length. Typically, they come offset where the positive side, which is the anode, will be a little longer. So you know, oh, that long one, that's the positive. It's not always like that. So at that point, you can, like in my case, I would need my glasses and a high power flashlight or some good lighting to look at it and turn it, because the cathode side of the plastic will be flat. They'll have a flat spot, and that lets you know You know, when you think of flat, I think of a little line, I think of a negative symbol, and that's the minus side. So the way the engineers do this stuff is the way that it would make sense for common sense. Anyway, I like these little rechargeable batteries found in disposable vapes. When I see a vape device laying on the ground, in this case, it was actually on the top of a pile of garbage in a garbage can at a mini mall, and I grabbed two of these plastic large McDonald's drink cups. I needed those cups for a project. So I know you can laugh at me and say, haha, Petey lives in the dumpster and he smells like poo, and you know, and I don't want to sound like some Greta Thunberg, but anytime I can reuse something and put it to some use before it hits the landfill. And I've got someone here that can testify. I'm pretty good about cutting stuff up.
Yeah.
Like I cut everything up. I just think that it breaks down better. Like I would never take some biodegradable material and put it inside of a plastic bottle. I've seen people do stuff like that. I tend to think that it's a little better if they are actually going to recycle this stuff. And it just makes more room in the dumpster. Now, I would have to look into that. Am I actually doing anyone a favor by doing that? Maybe it's worse. All I can tell you is it kills me that we're just throwing away perfectly good, because these things, you can recharge them. There's so many cycles on these. So this is one way that you can come up with a handy little power source for your projects that will cost you nothing. You do have to be aware that vape juice, the e-liquid, smells. It smells strongly. So if you have a plastic bag or gloves, you know, the best way to do it is to use a shopping bag. If you're out and you're going to do your grocery shopping and you see somebody threw a vape on the ground, well, grab one of your grocery bags and wrap it up in there. And then when you're handling it, wear gloves. Don't touch it directly. Use a channel locks to pull it apart. You'll see a sponge. That sponge, that's what held the e-liquid. You're going to want to get that out and get it in a plastic bag as soon as you can, because that stuff reeks. Then when you pull it apart, the battery will come out, and you can use IPA, you know, isopropyl alcohol, naphtha. You can use vinegar, whatever solvent of your choice to clean it up a little bit, and then you can just tack some colored wires on it, put a resistor in, put a little tape around it, and then like when this dies, I can just hook this up to a 5-volt power supply or a lithium ion battery charger, and it will take a charge. So I hope you found that helpful. Again, I don't want to sound like Greta Thunberg and I'm lecturing you guys, or like I live in a dumpster. You can make fun of me all you want. I'll tell you this. I've eaten McDonald's maybe 3 times in the past half a dozen years. And I'm proud of that because I make and eat my own food. I don't support that system. And I think that as a country, we went from that was something that you would have as a treat to relying on it for everyday sustenance. That there's a group of people who they don't know how to take care of themselves. The food that they buy is pre-prepared. It's stuff that you put in the microwave and cook, and that's really not the way to do it. That's what got us into this mess that we're into, where we've got too much waste. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with going to McDonald's. There isn't. It's great as a treat. But you shouldn't be going every freaking day. And unfortunately, until we as a society get back to grassroots and start using our heads, because the easiest thing to do is to point at a guy like me and go, ha ha, Petey smells like poo, he lives in the dumpster. Because I just told you the story. Well, I saved this from a landfill today. What did you do? You go to Hardee's and get your meat? All right, I'll talk to you guys later. The one thing I would ask you to do is hug your pets, and peace. I know it's only my regulars watching this, so I shouldn't bitch at you guys. I know you guys aren't going to McDonald's 3 meals a day. Anyway, whose business of it is mine, right? All right, you guys, take care of yourselves. What do we have for dinner? We're having chicken thighs and mac and cheese.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm excited about that. And I get to have lemonade. If you don't know about my oleocitrate lemonade, that's the next video you should watch. Type lemonade into my search function and learn how to make this stuff. That's a life changer. It literally did. I lost 75 pounds on my lemonade diet, and I quit drinking. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I just drink this lemonade stuff that I make. Man, is it good. Anyway, you guys, take care of yourselves. To my regular viewers out there, I love you guys, and I appreciate you more than you could imagine. Thank you so much, and hug your pets.